Okay.
done. So don't shut your web page down right away. It's
Yep.
Riverside.
Right.
So Craig, good to see you.
Good to
It's
see you too,
been
Phil.
a week.
A week. I know. It's actually really good to see you so soon after AU because we
I
always
know.
catch up there,
Yeah.
and then it's like, a period of quiet, and
Yeah.
that you
I mean,
kind of
I
have to
like,
like step down from AU because there's so much community and interaction.
I
It's
do
kind of
feel a
like,
little lonely after AU. I don't know if
yeah.
that anybody else feels that. There's just so much stuff going on and it's so active. And then I get back and it's like, oh, and I kind of feel sad for a couple days. I liked having it in Nashville this year. That was great. I mean, it was a little weird at the airport on Monday, but overall, the event was well. The discussions were high level. It's great meeting people without having to travel like
Hmm.
a lot. They come
Yeah.
to you and you're able to schedule. And so, what were you seeing? What was your impression? I was seeing on the inside with the chaos team and things like that, but you were attending.
Yeah, I was attending. I was impressed with what I saw actually from Autodesk, with the form of site design in particular, and their AI assistant.
Okay.
I'm a huge proponent of AI, but in terms of, like, I've been going to AU. God, I don't even know how many times since 2008,
Right.
right? So a, a long time.
Yeah.
And I've sort of the great thing about these conferences is that you sort of build this community of sort of like-minded friends
Mhm.
that you always catch up at AU and the other, and the Built conference, and the other conferences. So it's nice to catch up with a lot of my colleagues.
It doesn't feel as dense as I remember. I think my first AU was probably 2003, 2000, yeah,
Hmm.
probably 2003. And I just remember the hallways, 10 years ago were packed. We had the Revit BIM track and you were shoulder to shoulder on the escalators getting to the next session, and it feels like it's a little less dense, but it still has time to talk to people, to catch up without feeling too rushed. Because I always end up running into people that you're not going to know that they're coming, and you can't set up meetings back to back all the time.
Right.
And even in the exhibit hall, it doesn't feel like a trade show like it used to. Like everything was lined and gridded, and now it's just this kind of space. It has more space in it, and I kind of like it. I like what they're doing. There's not as much stuff, but I like what's there. As long as they're the right, they don't have to have 10 versions of the same thing. As long as there's one or two versions, it seems like a good direction. And we're
Yeah.
going to be in Vegas next year in
Next year.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back
So,
to.
so that'll be interesting. I did like Nashville. I didn't like the airport on Monday, of course, but I don't think anybody did. They
Yeah.
weren't they weren't ready for us. Um, but all in all, yeah, no, Nashville's a great city. Broadway was just, it's just a fascinating experience.
Easy to get around. The exhibit
Yeah,
hall was good.
yeah, and all in all, honestly, I think the food is probably by far the best I've seen at any AU this time around, which is great. It's nice to see them appreciate, good sort of solid food.
Yeah, you want that. You want a nice meal and just to sit down with someone that you know and have a chat and catch up.
Yeah, I had so many
Ugh.
great opportunities to catch up with people over lunch
Yeah.
at AU this time.
So speaking
It's
of
nice.
catching up, what are you up to now? You've started something new.
Ye-
Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm what's called a fractional CTO,
Okay.
which is essentially, for those of you who don't know, um, essentially part-time CTO. So I'm I'm really providing my sort of 18 plus years of AEC technology experience to mid-sized firms that can't necessarily afford a full-time,
No.
you know,
Or a full-time
executive.
BIM manager or a
R-
full-time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So there's a huge need for that, especially in this day and age where you've got tools being introduced at sort of an exponential rate, right?
Right.
New tools, new workflows. the big guys have, developer teams and staff of 8, 10, 20 BIM support people and BIM managers. The mid-sized firms can't necessarily afford that kind of expertise, let alone the sort of executive level vision and leadership around just like aligning your company's technology strategy to your company's goals. Um, so as a fractional CTO, part-time CTO, uh, I'm providing that as a service to mid-sized firms, and I think it's very much needed because I think they're losing out in terms of competitive advantage when it comes to technology. I mean, anybody can pick up this, that, or the other in terms of BIM and AI and do little touch points with those technologies, but have an overall strategy, an overall vision, and um, a means of implementing that. It's kind of a roadmap of implementing that in their size firm that aligns with what they're interested in, whether it's sustainability, growth, whatever,
I mean,
profitability.
is it as practical as what their software spend should be, what their hardware spend should be? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it changes as a firm grows. If you're 10 people or less versus 20 versus 30, how your spend delta is going to shift. And I
yeah.
don't know that any architecture firm that small or medium firm can't afford a full time overhead CTO. And to be honest, I don't know that a lot of architects are good at evolving into that.
Mhm.
If you don't have experience, it's like, well, why don't you just, like, we're not accountants, we're not lawyers. Why not just hire someone to work with you as you need them?
Yeah, yeah, and the other aspect, the other part of this that really makes it valuable is that I'm coming in as a third party, so I am baggage free. I have no political ties to anyone in the firm, right,
Right,
or
right,
any
right.
initiative that's underway. So I can give a third party view at what they're currently doing, what and having my experience and focus on the industry in general, and sort of the higher level of where technology is and where it's headed.
Right.
I'm allowed, I'm in a better position to guide them in a way that will give them that competitive advantage and give them that insight that will help the leadership make
You feel like you
decisions
can
that
be
are.
honest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a better way of putting it.
I mean, well, every company, it's not like heavy politics, but every company has, people have agendas and they want to do things a certain way. And you can come and say, well, look, I've seen this work. This is what works and why. But if it
Mhm.
doesn't work for you, tell me why, and we'll figure out another way.
Yeah,
So you're there as a resource. You're
exactly.
part psychologist, part many
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that transition from 10 people to 20 people to 30 people, and then you start hiring people that
Hmm.
manage people. If you ever look at the ENR 500, look at the revenue per employee for a firm of 10,000 people, and then
Yeah.
look at the revenue per employee of a firm of 100 people. And I often wonder, like, why would you want to grow? Like, unless you just get really good people in, the complexity is exponential when you
Right.
start getting really big. So your role is your on-demand expertise. Help me
Exactly.
figure out my
Exactly.
software, my hardware. Because 20 years ago, it was like IT managed the design technology budget, but they don't
Mhm.
understand why these new tools, why does Revit need 128 megs of RAM? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. But you can give them context,
Yeah.
help them make that transition.
Yeah. And the um the response has been pretty fantastic, honestly.
Hmm.
Like the number one request I've gotten so far is for me to come in and do this sort of assessment, this analysis of where they are
Yeah. What do you
currently.
do?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so it's sort of leveling the playing field is the way I see it, and I think that the leadership of these mid-sized firms are seeing it as well. Is leveling the playing field for the entire industry. It doesn't matter, if you're a mega firm or a small firm or a mid-sized
Right.
firm, you get the same kind of expertise and the
Right.
same kind of insights for your specific firm. And so being a fractional CTO allows me to just focus on that sort of niche of the industry, the technology side
Right.
of things, but do this for a greater number of firms. So
Yep.
previously, I was in one firm and I just helped in driving those technologies and those goals. And now I'm able to do that um, for for a greater number of firms. And
A
so
lot,
I'm
a lot
yeah,
of firms.
I'm kind of feeling that I'm providing just a much needed service to the mid-sized firms.
You're in the Philly area.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you get on a plane? Will you get on a plane to do this?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, my first presentation was in Canada.
There you go.
Yeah. So um,
Post sales consulting.
that's right. That's right.
Check the box
So,
when you get off the plane. They want to know why you're here. Post sales consulting. And yeah, I think 90% of the industry, I think statistically, is less than 10 people. And if they don't know what they don't know, the value of sitting down with someone who's done it before
hmm
for almost 20 years, that has domain expertise, that studied architecture, got into the technology, understood, and then now can share that experience for the sake of one day, it's incredibly valuable. Otherwise, how are they going to? They're not going to find out from their competition. They're not going to find out from
Right.
another CTO at a firm they work with. Hey, just help me out. How would you do this? How would you help my firm grow so I could compete against you?
Yeah.
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 So how did you get there? What take us back to when you decided to get into architecture? What was that like?
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, so s-
Back when
architecture
we
for
both had hair. Take us back in time.
that's a long time ago. um, yeah. So I my first degree. So I have 3 degrees. I don't know if you know this, but I
Okay.
have 3 degrees.
Tell me about
My
it.
first degree is in business. So
Okay.
and that was a conscious decision to step away from going to architecture school
Yeah.
because of, and I'll tell you this story. So my father advised me to go and talk to an architect before I, committed to going to architecture school. And so I did. I went to go see this architect in LA, uh, and he was more than happy to paint the picture of what real architecture was. And he his description was so horribly um what's the word? It just
Bleak.
yeah, that's probably the best word to put it to use. So yeah, it was just horribly bleak. And me growing up in Southern California, where everybody seems to drive a Ferrari almost, um, that that influenced my decision. So I went to, rather than go to architecture school, which was my intent, I went
Yeah.
to business school and went down that route.
Yeah.
And then after several years in practice, of business, selling credit information to banks and so forth.
Right.
To me, not fun, not creative. It
Everything can
wasn't.
be bleak.
Yes, everything. Thank you. That's the realization I came
Anything can
to.
be bleak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Depends.
so I've always been into technology, but um, that was a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to architecture. I'm going to get my graduate school, my
Right.
or graduate degree in architecture. So I
So you
was
did your undergraduate in business, and
in
then you did your
business
graduate in architecture.
in architecture. Yeah. So I went to, well, actually, so initially I went for landscape architecture at
Yeah.
University of Pennsylvania, and then also did the architectural graduate
How
program
was the
there.
rigor of business compared to the rigor of studying architecture?
100% architecture is a lot more fun. I mean,
Right.
a lot more creative. It was eye opening for
Yeah.
me. And, going to business school, you learn about economics, you learn about strategic management. You know, I, I, it's not that I don't value that
Well, every architecture is
education,
a
right?
business.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
have
there is a yeah.
somewhere here. Yeah, see, strategic management, fourth edition.
I'll have to post.
That was my book.
There's
I
actually a
keep
book
them.
called Architecture. It's like So You Want to Be an Architect,
Uh-huh.
and it's this like I wouldn't say bleak, but it's this realistic tone that starts out with like architecture is a business. I'll post an Amazon link to it, but I think it's I think it's incredibly valuable to go to school and study something else and work in a profession if you can. Get a technical background in whatever
Hmm.
tools you use, and then go and get your master's degree in architecture. I think it frames it. So you did it the right. I think you did it the best way.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it worked out. It worked out well for me. I mean, I've always had like a keen eye on the business side of really anything.
But you've also had an
But
appreciation for design.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
very much so. And and Penn's graduate school of design, or now the Weitzman School of Design, is very much a design school.
Right.
Um, and so I had the benefit of getting earning two master's degrees from Penn, and then going into the practice of architecture, which has been, really fantastic. But that little bug of technology has always been with me. So um, when I after how many years? Like 7 years of practicing architecture, I found myself in the midst of the CAD to BIM, the introduction of building information modeling, right?
Right.
And this was a technology that made this really resonated with me as being,
Like as a business standpoint and also as a designer.
yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. It made a whole lot of sense just on a number of different levels. And so I instantly became an advocate for using Revit in particular,
Right.
driving um, the transition uh, of of a large firm, Kling Stubbins, from entrenched two-dimensional CAD drawings to one of the I think one of the most advanced building information modeling firms at that time. So that this is 2007, 2008.
They were an early adopter of technology, even
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
like
yeah,
transitioning to CAD. I think they were an Intergraph customer early on.
yeah. Microdesk. So
Yeah.
um, and sorry, not MicroStation,
Right.
Bentley product. Um, and so that was a transition that was very difficult for me for the entire company, but we made it work. I mean, if you have a good team, a good solid team, which I was able to pull together at Kling
Right.
Stubbins, as well as just a very capable and open-minded staff, it makes a huge difference, right?
Right.
And so we were lucky enough to do the Autodesk Waltham IPD project. That was early 2009, I think,
Okay.
which was
That
the
was with
first.
Phil.
Yeah, with Phil
Okay. Phil
Bernstein
Bernstein. Yes, that was that new building.
and
They
John Tachi.
made
Yeah,
everything modeled, and you wanted to
everything
track things
modeled.
in detail.
Yeah, fully integrated. We had contractors in our model. Um, we did, we really pushed the envelope when it came to building information modeling, just because we wanted to see both Autodesk and Klingson and myself wanted to see the impact that
How
BIM
far
could
you could.
have. Yeah, and yeah, how far you could take it, and what the real value was, and that project really spelled out the value,
Right.
um, which then catapulted the firm forward in terms of its sort of continued adoption. That was sort of a hero project for
Yep.
the next really the next 5 years
But to
that
your
really.
point, you've got to get people that are curious, that have the right mindset, that
Yes.
are want to do it. And that's just not an architectural thing. That's like in any business. You got to find the right people.
Hmm.
Well, that was probably that project was what, 2007, 2008.
Yeah, yeah,
When they
around
built the, so that's
the.
almost 20 years ago. What else have you seen that's impactful to AEC? There's just so many tools in the last. We used to have tools. Now we have ecosystems of tools. But
Yeah.
what kind of things do you see working together now that really stand out, that are impactful to how architects need to work?
Yeah.
As if I need a fractional CTO. Talk to me. What kind of things should I be looking at? Yeah.
Well, so the answer to that really varies from firm to firm, based
Okay.
on your market and your current sort of software stack. Um, but you know, I'm a huge proponent of Revit. I've always, for the longest time, I've been a huge proponent of Revit. You are as well. Forma has been just making waves in terms of early conceptual design. I mean, this is a tool that really has nailed the the early design process in a
Okay.
way that hits sustainability, hits design, hits now artificial intelligence,
Right.
and at Autodesk University we saw what I see as really as a fundamental transition from designers modeling to designers telling the computer what to model.
Right.
Right? It's a huge shift, and I think that this is just a taste of what the future holds for us if all of the if it can be fully worked out. But I think it's going to transition the sort of design process significantly over the
I
next
mean,
few
but we've
years.
always had that. I kind of make the joke that it's carbon-based AI is the architectural intern, and we've had the carbon-based AI for a long time. We'd have a discussion, they would go away and do things. The part now is it's not always carbon-based, or you give the instructions to the carbon-based, and then they give the instructions to the silicon-based. It
Hmm.
just happens so fast. It's so fast that I struggle with judgment using AI specifically because I get so many good answers that I haven't had to rigorously kind of struggle with
Hmm.
that I don't know which one is good. Like I was doing material studies the other day for a design, and less than an hour, I had 5 beautiful material studies rendered, and I thought I could keep going. I don't know which of these, it's so subjective. So, how do you know, like when you're using these tools, how do you feel like you know when to stop? Where does your judgment come into it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, that is one of the issues with AI is that the answers are so easy to come to, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, hundreds of
Something
answers,
that looks
right?
amazing
How
is
do you?
so fast. How do you know that it's
Yeah,
maybe that's
yeah.
why I got out of the design process because I just found the subjectivity of it a struggle. I
Hmm.
don't like I've worked with other designers that are so confident in a direction. I envy that. I'm really confident about building an elegant family in Revit or building
Hmm.
an elegant database. I don't feel confident telling a customer this is why we should use these materials. This is why we should do this light. This is why we should lay it out for this function. I
Yeah.
just I lock up.
Well, I mean, I think so. I'm a huge like with a lot of these, especially the large language models, the generative AIs that speak our language and understand us. Um, I'm a huge proponent of the Socratic method. That is, don't you basically you tell it, don't give me the answer.
Okay.
You know, sort of discuss the answer out
Like
of
ask the
me, right?
questions.
Get me to answer.
Okay.
Ask the question. Ask me the questions and sort of guide me through questioning to an answer that makes sense for me. And that I think sort of plays into when it comes to design and when you're initiating that design process, the first thing you shouldn't do is go into Midjourney and get ideas. No, you should have a very clear concept, set of criteria that you're looking to meet in terms of your design. What are the specifications of your design? What does it have to do? How
Right.
does it have to look? How does it
But how
have
do
to
you
make me feel?
prioritize
Right?
that is important. Like ask me the questions. What do I need to think about as opposed to just coming up with a prompt that says, oh, make this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's these are the kinds of questions that I think every firm should really be having every firm should really have an AI group discussion, on these topics and how to best navigate all of these new technologies because you keep seeing them like introduced. And
Any
it's
particular ones that you like for AI? If you
what's
had
that?
to name, if you had to name the top three or five, what tools keep popping up in your tech stack?
Well, okay, so too many, honestly.
You
The
have to say
ones,
curious, but the ones that if a company was saying, "So get us started, we're not using any tools. What should we be looking at? What
oh,
kinds of tools
yeah.
should we be looking at, and why?"
So in terms of generative AI, so there are basically two tracks, right? There's the visualization side of things. Well, there's
Right,
three right now. There's sort of vibe coding and sort of
right.
in-house
Yeah.
automation.
Are you making
There's
code?
the
Are you making an
visualization.
image? Are you having a
Yeah, yeah.
conversation?
And yeah, conversation and proposal writing and all the language-based ones. So
Okay, good point.
the quickest turnaround in terms of profitability and return on investment, I see as being the visualization tools. They've become so accessible, like tools like Chaos, Enscape, and the built-in Veros is now built in, right?
Right, right,
And
right,
what I
right.
like to call Enscape Pro, which is in Chaos Envision, right? Where
Yeah, yeah.
you've
They
sort of
have
integrated.
it's
Yeah.
Arc Design Collection, Envision, Veris. There's energy analysis with Impact, and it all flows through
Hmm.
Inkscape initially,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
approachable.
Right. Makes it really approachable. And with the generative AI tools built into those, you've cut your high end render time in half, and you really sort of almost removed, in most cases, you've removed the need for render farms or outsourcing renderings to third
Yeah.
parties because you're able to do it in house so quickly um, and the quality level is just so high, or you're able to get there with the right
It's so,
techniques.
if you look closely, things are smudgy sometimes. Like early on, only last year, you get three
Hmm.
legs on a chair, and now it's, four legs, and it looks so naturally realistic. But the challenge with the beautiful thing about rendering in the last decade is that it went from hours to minutes.
Hmm.
Um, but it was very transactional in the sense that it was only going to give me what I asked it to give me. And so if you set up the design in Revit, if I opened it in Enscape, I'm going to get that rendering. But early in the design process, to your point, I don't want a specific answer. I want an emotional vector. And that's where I find Veris and some other tools are just like, oh, I would have never thought of that. That's an interesting idea. Because I
Hmm.
want these vectors to start. I don't want a specific answer. And that's where I find before I've started to design too much, I want to stop and I don't even want to design at the beginning. I just want to sketch. I want to sketch and a concept. Like you mentioned, it's not even like describing the design, describing the materials. I just
Hmm.
want to take concepts that are metaphors for applying to the sketch and then getting surprised. So, Varus, what else are you seeing that's interesting in the AI? If it's not for images, what would you use for other tasks? What kind of tasks?
Well, so one of the tools, sort of in terms of easy access, and that's so
Okay.
for yeah for most small mid-sized firms, that's what you're looking for. 'Cause they don't have a whole lot of time for staff to be playing around with certain things. So one of the ones that I've used pretty robustly is it's called fastbots.ai. It's sort of a quick large language model. You can set it up for anything. So one thing that I've done before is essentially create a structural reference for a firm. Um, Taking what they have these fundamental design reports, which basically document the sort of the the thinking behind what structural systems were considered and what was ultimately chosen for a project based on its requirements. And so each one of those fundamental design reports has a lot of information for the projects that we've done that were done in the past. So huge amount of information. You plug those into the bucket that is what the large language model, the FastBot basically refers to, and then you
Yep.
can start asking it questions. And like, all right, what's the PSI of concrete for that we've used typically in a hospital situation, or
Okay.
that kind of thing. And it gives answers. It'll reference the document
I
itself.
mean, like, is AI just the buzzy word? I mean, it just seems like we're just able to query precedent knowledge, like
Yes.
precedent experience. How did I do this before? Because I don't remember. Like, it's AI. Well, it's like, I don't know if it's AI or not. It's
Yeah.
just aggregating previous experience and getting me closer.
That's exactly it, right? I mean, previously we would go and ask, oh, go ask Paul. He knows all of our projects.
Right.
He'll have the answer
But
to
if
your
Paul worked on
question.
the project, his answer is somewhere in projects. You can now ask Paul
Yes.
vicariously.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul,
Exactly.
the structural engineer. We're just making up words here. The other thing that people I'm hearing about in the architectural space is they're using these tools to query code compliance, to query requests for proposals, and even to the point where one of the first questions they'll ask it in this long list of questions
Hmm.
is query this request for information or proposal for things that conflict in the side of the proposal. So they're finding something in a section over here that says we want you to do this, and then over here it says we don't want you to do this or you won't do this. And when they feed that back to the company, they're like, "Oh, well, we used AI to create the proposal." It's like, do you guys even know
Yeah.
what you asked for? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's weird.
that's one of the issues with. I mean, for me, using AI to navigate the code of a project is risky, right? I mean, so if you ask ChatGPT or Gemini or one of those other tools
Right.
for code for a specific situation in your project, it'll give you an answer. It'll look correct. It'll maybe even have a
Oh, it's
reference,
so confident in its
right?
answer. It's like, this
Yes.
is, yeah.
Yeah. At 99% of people are like, that's the answer. It just clearly looks
No,
like it's a
you still need to
reference.
do your
They
own
don't
homework.
look. They don't go and like, I'm going to click this reference and actually read it. Oh, actually, it's not saying that. Darn, shoot, I just based my project on a assumption
There
about
is, I'll
code
have to put the
that's
link
not.
up for the episode of South Park this season where Randy starts using AI to ask questions about how to pivot his business, and it always goes, "Randy, that's a great question. I think you're really forward thinking. Let's figure this out together." It's always so positive, and he gets sucked into it, and the ideas turn out to be really stupid in the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Anything?
well,
What else? What are the tools you've mentioned? A few. Anything else that stands out? So we talk visual, we talk text and contract, and kind of
mhm.
search documents for precedents. Anything?
Yeah, we talked visualization.
Or maybe that's a good, maybe
So
just like, hey, you need one that can do text, you need one that can create images, and that's a good starting point.
yeah, I mean, nowadays you're seeing most of the large firms, by the way, most of the large firms have at least one person, if not a team of people that are developing automations and integrating
In
large language models
house.
into them, right? Um, and this process has become so much more accessible, even to small and mid-sized firms. If you've got someone who's interested in doing that kind of thing with this, it's
Right.
called vibe coding. Is basically you sort of
Oh, so
tell.
creating software, creating scripts and stuff, that's a third piece. Got it.
Right, right, yeah. Um, so it's I mean, even like creating a batch routine to run a process, it has become so simple that really, honestly, anybody can do it. It's like, try it when you get, back to the office. Um, Type in, I want to search for every Revit file, search and delete for every backup Revit file on a computer kind of thing by running a batch routine. And
Right.
it'll like,
Right.
oh, here you go. Just copy and paste this into a text document, rename it .bat and run it.
Your way.
Right? Yeah. We've done the same thing with Python coding. Um, One where, so with, this is a specific use, but Adobe's licenses, of course, Adobe Creative Suite super expensive for the average firm. Usually you'll have one or two licenses. For a large firm, it's hard to manage because every architect wants to use it, but they're not using it 100% of the time. They're using it once a month, maybe, or for a week every 3 months, that kind of thing.
Right.
So managing those licenses becomes a real sort of headache. We've used some code that a friend gave us, and then expanded on that as basically Python code that went out, looked at usage in a tool called BIMBeats. You've probably heard of that. That's
Yep.
basically that's kind of a software usage tracker, for lack of a better word. Looks at usage, looks at the license count in Adobe, and then anyone who has a license in the Adobe list, licensing admin portal, who hasn't used it in 2 weeks just has their license pulled, which makes a significant difference in terms of the number of licenses that you need.
So right sizing your software purchases as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of use, just simple sort of administrative management, tool development, super easy now.
Right. Right.
Which is
So
fantastic.
you're the carbon-based AI that is going to advise people on the silicon-based AI and other CTO types of tasks. But we
Yeah.
start with carbon-based AI. It's called Craig. Have you used a Craig AI?
AI is in the middle of my name, right?
Craig.ai. You should
CRAIG.
Craig.ai. Is that taken? It might be a thing.
Yeah,
Check
I should
that.
check that
Yeah,
out.
start with judgment because I think people still want to have a conversation and they want to have questions in the moment and they don't want a transactional kind of understanding of something. And so you can bring in and come in and do context and clarity and then give them a vector and why you think it works and based on their projects and their location and their business. I
Hmm.
like it.
Yeah,
Yep. Good. Good. I think this is the right time to start this kind of business.
good. Yeah, so far so
Oh,
good.
I just realized I do want to talk about the leadership event, and I got kind of sucked in to like what Craig's up to. But yeah, you went to last year's event. You've also been in the technical roundtable. Um, what is the what is you used a term like what are your themes? What are your ideas behind like it from a design standpoint, at a high level? What are the ideas and the themes that attract you to coming to the event this year? What is it that you get out of it that's important?
Well, so leadership for anyone in a role, design technology, directorship or management role or executive role, leadership's a key component to what you do.
Yeah.
So that kind of training, isn't readily available, to be honest. I mean, when this retreat came available, it really sort of raised my eyebrows and said, "Wow, this is something obviously needed in our industry because you don't get that
No, we
opportunity
have
as
sales
much."
training, we have management training, we have technical training.
A lot of what a design technologist does
Right.
is inspires people to to use technology and to drive forward and be innovative, right?
Right.
That kind of leadership is really, really important to have that capability. And so having a retreat where you can just sort of relax
Mm.
and be yourself and learn from some essentially just really talented people
Yeah.
and a great coach as well. It allows for kind of a significant development in terms of your ability to help inspire and to help lead and to be a great leader for your teams, be a great manager, focus on what really matters uh, in this industry
Focus on
and
what
in this
matters.
role. Yeah.
It's hard. All the technology is changing. I was chatting with Randy recently. Um, I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about being a technical high performer was I could squirrel myself away, have quiet, focus, figure out something, and get that euphoria when you figured it out. So enjoyable. But then that kind of got me recognized for another job position in the future, which was like, hey, this is more money. I get to work with a team of people. Um, Figuring out how to make technology predictable is one thing. Trying to figure out how to motivate people to change behavior, that was so stressful. And I know I didn't have my quiet anymore. I didn't realize I was giving up the quiet. It was every 15 minutes. Hey, I got a question. Hey, are you going to come to the meeting? It was like, what am I doing? I'm getting paid a lot of money, and I don't know if this is decisions we're making are going to pay off for a year. It felt so stressful. And so it was kind of like in 2020, because we couldn't travel, I just needed a way to. I mean, I was working with Randy, but it became indulgent because I had guys like you and other people talking to me about hitting these transitions from managing tech to managing people and how stressful it could be with everything else going on. You just need to reframe your sense of purpose, because the purpose changes, your roles change. I don't know how you found that for yourself. For me, it was very stressful to go from technical focus high performer to now I don't know what's going to happen today,
Mm.
and accepting it. I mean,
Yeah.
how
So,
have you how have you done it? You know, the uncertainty that comes with leadership.
mhm. No, 100%. I totally agree. I mean, being a technologist, we've got all the devices, right? And they're always like everything's pinging like 24/7, it seems. And having the ability to sort of set that aside and give yourself like focus time for yourself
Yeah.
is so important. Just, I mean, it's, it's incredibly important on a number of different levels. But um, the leadership training isn't something, at least, so I've had the sort of benefit of making a lot of mistakes in my career. So I've been
Mm.
at a number of different companies, um, driven their technologies, gotten them up and running in terms of BIM and AI and everything in between. And in the process, I've learned a lot from a good number of teams that I've sort of built. Some of them I built myself, and some of them, I've sort of adopted. And it's really given me the benefit of learning leadership, uh, leadership of people, um, my own direct report teams, and larger companies of staff that don't report, but still as a director, there's a degree of leadership required. That experience has really led um, uh, my career and my ability to really have an impact and recognize that the people on your teams and the people in your firms have a huge impact on your ability to get achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve, right?
Okay.
So having a leadership retreat that's focused on talking about these kinds of things,
Right.
it's unique, um, and I find it's totally essential if you're gonna continue to
Where's the good? So where is that? What's the, in software space, we call it the IDP, the ideal customer profile.
grow. Hmm.
Is it someone who is at that point where they're making this transition just to have to start managing teams and people and their self, like the level of impatience that I have to figure out a technical solution, I can't apply that to people. It's
Hmm.
not fair. So I have to feel like if I'm going to ask people to show up, I have to show up first properly before I can ask other people to. So where is that transition? Is it someone? Is it a BIM manager? Is it a director of technology? Is it a C level or a V level? Where do you see it fitting?
So I don't think like
And tell me who you think should not fit. Like it's not a this is not a technical event for learning how
right.
to use Revit kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so. BIM managers, no. I would say attend the round table. I think that's much more valuable for a
Okay.
BIM manager. This leadership round table retreat is, I think, better served for someone who's been a director at least
Mhm.
for a bid, or they're approaching the C-suite
That
or have
transition.
reached sort of early C-suite, right,
Yeah.
executive level. Um, be, because you need to have some experience managing people, leading teams, inspiring staff, right?
Finding out it doesn't work as you
Right,
said,
right, exactly. It's like, oh,
failing and
wait a
going
minute. I
work.
thought I knew what I was doing.
Right. I thought this would be easy. Nobody helps you. You go into
Yeah,
these roles and there's no onboarding to managing teams of people. You got to figure it out.
you got to figure it out.
Oh
You
man.
gotta learn what's important to your executive management at the director level. You've got to learn how to discuss with how to like open up the discussion on, well, what are your goals? What's your strategy to reach your goals? How can technology now?
Yeah.
How can we integrate technology into this strategy so that we can achieve your goals
Right.
with this investment in technology? Because a lot of these large firms are spending millions and millions of dollars on their technology, but without the ability to align them to their goals, well, they're missing out, I think.
Right. I think for me it was I crave certainty, and on the technical side I could create certainty, and on the people side I couldn't create certainty. And my expectation was I need to create certainty, and there was this mismatch until I started working with Randy and went, oh no, I need to accept that things will be uncertain and that I can't really control except what I can't control anything except how I respond to what I can't control. And like even in my consulting practice, if I lock up and get frustrated when I hear what I think is bad news, um, people aren't going to come to me.
Mhm.
And once I realized if I will just change, if I'll be present when I think I'm going to get bad news, put the phone away, okay, what's going on? And then once you learn what it is, it's like, oh, that we can solve that. That's all it is. Then the stress went down, but I didn't know how to do that. I had a false expectation. And I think that's a big challenge of being a good leader is being able to be present. Like Randy uses that term a lot about you have to be present. But the thing is, when someone's trying to explain it, you can't be looking at your phone. You have to really
Mhm.
turn off that all the other things. Hey, come on in, sit down, shut the door. What's going on? Even when you can't do everything everyone wants, but what I've learned is if you tell people no, but they believe that you listen to them, it's going to be okay. If you have to say no because there's five ways to do things, we have to pick one direction and pull together, but you don't listen to what other people are trying to convey their concerns, it goes sideways because they don't feel listened to. And I think that's kind of what it's about, and it's evolved with you guys. Every year is a little bit different. We tweak it every year. We try to have good meals. We try to have afternoons that allow people to decompress because there's a lot going on in the mornings. Um, doing it at a camp as opposed to a hotel and a conference room. Part of that is just, like getting to walk around with bare feet, touching the ground. I think that's an important part of being present and of giving yourself. It's a bit indulgent, but giving yourself time to think about what you're trying to accomplish and what your purpose is, so you can refocus. I don't know how else to do it. And and other people that we know in the AEC space, they've come along for this as well. And it'll never be a big conference. I don't think it can be. The moment we have lanyards you know, and sponsors, I think we've gone off
Yeah.
track a little bit. So
Yeah, I totally agree. That's one of the reasons why I like to attend is is that it is there is a relaxed sort of a feel towards it. We're all sort of like-minded individuals as well, so we understand each other, I think, and we know the we know each other's pressures, right? We know what's happening, um,
Yeah.
and the ability to turn that off and experience, a few days without the sort of constant ping, 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 um, is it's so valuable.
Somebody at one event said, when I go to AU, I'm showing people my strengths. But when I come to this, I'm showing people my weaknesses. And I
Hmm.
think we're always on point when we're at conferences. We're wearing the good watch, we're wearing the good shirt, we're wearing the expensive shoes. And then we come here and it's like flip flops and shorts. And you can kind of be honest with each other. We're not, yeah, there is stress. Sometimes leadership is lonely at a high level. All the people that I could talk to as a high performer about, hey, have you figured this thing out? Revit figured this thing out, this tip and this trick. Sometimes you can't, you have to be friendly, but you can't be friends. I can't tell people that I know they're going to be let go.
Hmm.
All of that stuff, it weighs me down. And I feel like I have to find a way to have expectations that help me mitigate that stress and that it's okay to talk about, hey, this is stressful sometimes. So I'll see you November 9 to 14.
Yeah, looking forward to
Hopefully
it.
it'll be warmer than Philly in November.
Yeah, well, I've been checking the weather, Phil, honestly. I've been like, what is the temperature in
Yeah, yeah, mid
Florida?
60s, probably low 60s to low 80s.
Oh, good. So
So
that's nice. That's
we don't
nice.
need too much sunblock on our heads if we go outside. It'll be
Good.
okay.
All right. Keep our
All right,
pores
man.
open.
Thank you very much, Craig. I really
Hey,
appreciate you sharing your story and being honest and talk about how you got here and what you're doing now. Very exciting. And where you'd like to get to. That's part of, I think that's part of the leadership event. Where you want to head. What's important. So,
great.
all right.
Thanks for having
Chatting
me, Phil.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Thanks.